Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to find a remote wire. This will help you out if you're trying to install a aftermarket stereo in your car. So yeah, first off, I'm going to go through off the basic testers. There's different ones out there, but this one's are the most common ones. First off, we got the more complex one, which is a multimeter. You don't need that one, but if you have it, you could use it. What you do is you put the black one into any metal part of the car and the red one to test out your fuse. Okay. The next one is a voltmeter, which is this one right here. It's pretty useful, but you do not need it if you're just going to be doing simple stuff as testing out a fuse and things like that. But the same thing with this one. The negative one goes to ground, and then the bigger pole is positive to test out the fuse again. The most common one for cars to test out fuses is this one right here, which is like $5. Same thing, you got your little clamp right there, which you clamp it into any metal part of the car as ground, and the tip is going to be for positive to test out your fuses. Okay. Now, up to the next part. To find a remote wire, there's two ways to do it. You could either go to the front of the car, behind the deck, to get it. Okay. Like I said, you put the ground, the black one is ground, the negative is ground. You put that in any metal part of the vehicle, and with the positive one, you test out the wires to see which one turns on. But you want to find the one that only turns on when the ignition is on. It doesn't have to be like on, like the car does not have to be running, but the key has to be turned on as if the ignition was on. So that's how you do it from the back of the deck, which is a little bit more complicated, but if you already got the deck out of the car, then might as well grab it from right there. Unless you have 2004 and up vehicle, due to the fact that most of those vehicles come with relays and they only use one wire, which is a battery wire, to turn on the stereo. That means that it uses a certain amount of voltage to turn on the stereo and turn it off. Let's say if it's off, it's going to be like at 6 volts, and if it's on, as soon as you switch on the ignition, it's going to bump out to 12 volts. They go by signal. So the more volts, the more volts it has, it's going to turn on. The less, it's going to turn off. So therefore, that messes up your whole remote wire for that. So keep that in mind. Next thing is the fuse box. You go to the fuse box and get your remote wire source from right there. The way you do that is same thing. What you want to do is you want to get your tester and find the fuse that only has power going through it when the ignition is on. But to help you out, just test out the ones that have 15 or 10 on them, which is the blue or red fuses. This one's a 25, which is white. So just test out the ones that have 15 or 10. Okay. So make sure that it only turns on, that you only have current going through it when you switch on the ignition. The way you're gonna know it has current going through it is if you're using a multimeter, it's gonna say 12 volts. If you're using this one, the light is gonna turn on to 12 volts. If you're using this little one, it's the same thing. The light is just gonna turn on. So once you find the one that only turns on or has current, the power going through it when you have the key on the on position, what you want to do next is you want to take off the switch, the fuse, and you want to test out next the poles, which are right there. Okay. You want to test out which one, if it's the top one or the bottom one, that has the current going through it. Okay. When I say going through it, I mean that it goes in through the fuse, okay, in and out to the stereo or to wherever it's going to. Okay. So find out the one that turns on. One is going to turn on, the other one is not going to turn on. Okay, it's going to make the light turn on. One is going to make the light turn on either one of your testers, and the other one is not. So once you find the one that turns on, let's say it's this one, the top one, you do not wrap up your wire around the top one, because you want to wrap it up on the one that does not have the power on. So let's say this is the one that turns on. You don't put it there, you put it here. Why? Because this one has a power that goes through the fuse and out electronic that needs the power. That's a safety feature. So let's say there's some sort of electrical shock. What that happens is the fuse is gonna burn before it gets to any major components. So that little loop right there, that loop is gonna burn before it makes any problems to your parts in the car. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Once you do that, then you wrap it up around that one, and that should turn on your amplifier.